Good evening, everyone. Welcome and thank you all for joining IWES webinar. My name is Cardella and I am your host tonight. On this interesting session, I have invited someone who is one of the successful businesswomen in the region and is a finance and accounting expert. I can tell you a lot of good things about her, but I would just let you check her in at LinkedIn or any of her social media handle. She is a co-founder and senior partner with Xcel Accounting, an 18-year-old boutique accounting firm. She is on a mission to empower 1 million entrepreneurs to intentionally build a profitable, scalable, and sellable business, keeping more of the money they make. Please join me in welcoming Simran Samtani. Over to you, Simran.
Thank you so much, Cardella, for the lovely introduction. So, guys, I just wanted to share why I do what I do before I begin my presentation. My name is Simran, and as Cardella introduced us, we have an 18-year-old accounting firm. Me and my husband are life and business partners. But let me tell you one thing, that I'm a non-accountant. So by saying I'm a non-accountant doesn't mean that I don't understand finance, but my strengths lie in making accounting simple for entrepreneurs to be able to take the decisions. I'm an MBA in marketing, and I'm an ex-banker, so I don't fear numbers. So why do I do what I do is that over the years, me and my husband have been working together. And on his 50th birthday, we were in Seychelles vacationing. Because we work together and we don't take very long holidays, but we take short holidays, and we love the beaches of the world. So as in any milestone birthday, on his 50th birthday, while we were walking through the beaches of Seychelles, we realized that this is what we love, spending time with each other, the calmness, the peace, the sound of the waves, and no tension or stress. And how can we have more of this for ourselves? And we realized that if we wanted this in our life, the only source of income, as all our eggs were in one basket, was our business. So if I sold my business today, will it give me the lifestyle that I want? Obviously, the answer was no, right? So then we said, okay, then how can we make this happen? So we, while we were discussing this, we realized that, while our entrepreneurial journey was amazing, we went with the flow. So when things were moving good, it's amazing. When recession would hit or downfalls would hit, we would hustle, come back to a stage where we were comfortable. And then we were on this roller coaster ride. We let the business run us. We didn't run the business. We don't have children, so we didn't plan for the future. We don't have a legacy to leave behind as a business to someone. We didn't plan with an exit in mind. We didn't know what we want to do. Do we want to sell our business? Do we want to franchise it? Do we want someone else to run it while we can have the lifestyle? So we work on our business, not in our business. We've not given it that thought. And when we realize that, we need to think of these things, we also realize that, listen, at this point of time, we cannot start experimenting. Age is catching up on us. So we need mentors. So I had read the book, Built to Sell. You see it behind me as well, by someone called John Varelo. He'd written the book. And so I approached them from Seychelles. I wrote to them and I said, how can you help us to build our business so that we can make it scalable and sellable in a few years? We were not in a hurry to do it now. And as I went through that coaching, I realized that my clients, my friends, my associates were in a similar boat and were doing the same things. And we could help our clients with this. And so I got licensed to also train others. So we are now certified on this methodology. Then over a period of time, also in the roller coaster ride, your cash flow goes up and down. And that's when Profit First came into our lives, where we realized that the cash flow framework and cash is king, and which is what a lot of what I'm going to talk about in our session today, we are also now licensed and authorized to share this with our clients and associates. So while we were embarking on this journey within a couple of years, the pandemic hit us. Okay, so pandemic had its own challenges, but sadly for us, it was not just the pandemic. My husband, unfortunately, had a small, mini brain stroke. So while it was a tiny brain stroke, He was away from the business for 4 years. Thank God he's perfectly fine right now. And we kind of realized how what we had set in the foundation using both build to sell and profit first actually has helped us survive and thrive in 20 and 2021. So we know we have laid the foundation, and whatever was missing, we're laying it now. So that's a little bit about me so that you know what we do. So I'm a certified value builder and a profit first professional, and I will be bringing up some elements of it. So as I told you, I'm a non-accountant. What I will share with you today, I will try and make it with as less jargon as possible, so that you know. So I will be sharing my screen, talking about finding cash in our business. So before I share my screen, my question to entrepreneurs, and even if you're not entrepreneurs and planning to be entrepreneurs, it's the right time for you to know this. And even if you're not entrepreneurs, some of the principles and applications can also be used for salaried people to make sure that you're keeping more of the money to yourselves to build your lifestyle of freedom. Freedom means different things to different people. When you ask people, what is freedom? Freedom, people will say somebody will want time freedom, somebody will want money freedom, somebody will say, I want to work from anywhere. Location freedom, locations from people. You sometimes don't like working with some people that you're forced to work with. So there's a lot of elements to it. But because I'm talking finance, and somebody will say that if I have financial freedom, I will have the tools to have the other freedoms as well. So if I ask you, what does financial freedom mean to you? And if you have a number for it, would you be able to give it to me? Some people will say yes, some people will say no. And even if you say no, I'll say, can you just put some number there? A lot of people will put a big number and say, okay, this is the number since you're asking me. And I say, what make you choose that number? And they say, it just seemed a big number. But who decides what's a big number? Who makes that decision for you? Okay, a lot of our decisions are made based on, what somebody else has, what somebody else wants. So the idea and pandemic has brought us most closer in saying, what is it that we want in life? If I were to retire in 5 years, or I want a freedom lifestyle, what would it mean for me? For somebody, it would be, living in the beaches of the world. For somebody, it would be giving their children the best education in the best university. For someone, it will be giving their parents a lifestyle that they sacrificed while they're bringing it first. So that figure will be different for different people. My definition, and it's collated from a lot of other people that I've heard, would be a definition is that financial freedom is that number that for you, if you get that figure without having to work, whatever that life means to you, that will be your financial freedom number. Small or big doesn't matter, because that's what's important. That brings you joy, brings you happiness. I was attending a Tony Robbins webinar a few years ago, where Tony Robbins mentioned that he had 20 billionaire friends and only 4 were happy. Why? They're billionaires. They have a lot of money. They have financial freedom and more. Then why are they not happy? Because they're not fulfilled. So your freedom figure, your lifestyle freedom, means that figure that gives you fulfillment. And for some people, it may just be very, very simple things in life. For somebody, it would be luxury and luxury. But ask yourself, is that what makes you happy, or is that what you're just comparing with what someone else has? So if you look back and just step back, and it would be important to know where you are today, where you want to go, so that you can have a clear direction of where you want to go. Yeah. So now, while we're talking all this, I want to bring back in saying that the pandemic has also taught us uncertainties. It has taught us times when some businesses couldn't sell at all. So imagine if you were in the travel industry, and if you were in the F&B industry, and restaurants were closing. Thankfully, things are opening up now. And that was your only source of income. You could not sell more due to certain challenges. How can I find cash within my business? Okay, and let me tell you, there are ways that we can find ways. And you may also have certain other ways that I'm not mentioning here today that you would have found. So I will quickly walk you through those. Actually, I have 11 while I mentioned 10. I may have 1 or 2 bonuses as well. So let's go, and I shall talk about the stuff. So today we're going to talk about 10 ways to find hidden cash in your business. So you would have heard the saying where you say revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is reality. Okay, while we run an accounting firm for 18 years, we give our clients balance sheets, profit and loss, and everything. That has its place. Okay, but what I'm sharing with you today is not just about the figures the books will give you. So when we make goals, what goals do we make? Most of the time, you will see people make revenue goals, right? I want to 10x my business. I want to 5x my revenue. I want to 2x my revenue, whatever that revenue is. How did you arrive at that goal? Based on what you did last time? Based on, maybe some random figure you're putting because it sounds good. I want $1 million firm. I want a $10 million firm, etc. But is that important? Big revenue or big profits? What are you looking for? So when you say revenue, okay, and you're saying revenue, there are different words. Some people call it turnover. Some people will say my sales, my volume, my revenue. Those are revenue figures. You bag your dream client today who is going to give you a lot of money and you're excited. You're excited and say, hey, this is what is going to come into my bank account. Is it? Yeah. Question is, once the excitement dies down, and you now start seeing that to do this project, this is a huge project. It's my dream client. It's my dream number that's going to come to my account. You start putting the costs and say, okay, how much is this going to cost me? Not just in terms of money, but effort. Is taking on this project going to make me hire more people? Will it take training more people? Will it take additional technology? Will it take me additional people? Means will I need to move to a bigger office? What cost does it come with? And am I going to make profit? Now, sometimes you may take this decision knowing you're not going to make a profit because you want that big client on your books and knowing that if that client gives you a testimonial, you will get more clients. But has that decision on taking the client taken after doing these calculations? Most of the time, people would be excited on taking on a new project without doing this. So if the difference is too high, will you be able to sustain your business in the long run? So this brings you to a point where you start actually putting figures and say that, is this project going to make me profit? Is this deal worth it for me? Right? Is yes, then go ahead. But how many people make that kind of calculations and decisions before saying yes or negotiating on a price with that client, with your dream client? So even if you're making profit at the end and the client is giving you 50% in advance and you're still chasing for money, please important that while turnover is a vanity figure, some people call it an ego figure, your profit actually, and what we're talking here is profit on paper, cash, which is cash in your bank, cash in your hand, actual cash helps you survive anything, right? So cash is your reality. Which business would you want? I'm giving you two scenarios. A $10 million turnover business with a $2 million debt, making $100,000 profit. Business number one. Business number two, a $5 million business with a $1 million profit, no debt. Which business owner do you want to be? Which business owner do you think sleeps well? Absolutely. So when we're looking at our revenue figures, are your profit goals driving your revenue goals? Most of the times they are not. Please think again and let your profit goals drive your revenue goals in terms of your business and the decisions that you're making in your business. Now, we can't turn back the clock wherever you are today. And yesterday was Valentine's Day. So my question to everybody, and I released a small little video yesterday and said, what is your relationship status with money? Number one, serious relationship where you know exactly confident of where you are, where you want to go and have a roadmap for it. It's complicated where you know your dreams and your goals, but you don't have a roadmap. You don't have a direction. you don't have a path to go reach there, that's fine. At least you know your goals. Third, no comment. I don't even know where I am. I'm so scared to look at my numbers. I don't even want to look at them. So a lot of people fear numbers, but not looking at them will not help you take the decision. Wherever you are today, it's perfectly all right. No issues. Knowing that is important. Understanding where you are, because once you know where you are, you will start taking tiny steps towards moving to the next direction. So it's very important to first have clarity of where you are, start building confidence, knowing where you want to go, building confidence on how you're going to get there. Take tiny, tiny steps and ensure that you have consistent cash, which we'll slowly and surely talk about. So cash is the oxygen to your business. Without cash, we cannot survive. This is the statistics. 82% of the businesses fail due to cash flow in their first 5 years of business. But did you know 69% of them were profitable? Profitable on paper, mind you, not cash in hand. Profit on paper does not bring food to the table. A lot of times, people who are maintaining accounts and your accountant will give you your balance sheet, your profit and loss, and your profit and loss shows you profit. And you'll tell the accountant, there's my money. It's showing me profit. Where is it? It's not in your bank account. I'm not saying you've taken it and you've spent it. You've invested it in your business. You've spent it on your business. But profit on paper is not going to put food on your table, and which is why cash is important. So the statistics say that the top 5, and this is by Jesse Hagan of US Bank, top 5 of the 12 reasons businesses fail, if you would see 82%, which I mentioned is due to cash flow management, there are 5 of them are money related. Either you're over optimistic about how much money your business would need, your pricing is not correct, you haven't developed a business plan, or you've started with too little money, but 82% is because of cash flow. And that's what we're going to focus on. 2 things that you need to remember. Profit is not equal to cash. Your profit in your books includes the sales you've made, the revenue. So that big sale we spoke about is in your profit and loss statement. But remember, a sale is not a sale until the cash is collected. So while it may show in your revenue figures, you've not collected the cash. So it's not, profit is not cash. They're not the same. Second, your bank balance is not your cash balance. Your accounting system will have your cash balance, and it's important that you know your cash balance. You may have a balance in your bank account. A lot of us do bank balance accounting. You see money in your account and you start spending. What if there was a rent check due next month? You didn't think of it. But your accounting system will have what checks you've given for the next month or whatever else is due to you. So remember, your bank balance is not your cash balance. These 2 things are very important. So a lot of people who are doing bank balance accounting need to understand this. So let's talk about uncovering hidden cash in our business, right? So how do we get cash in our business? How does the cash flow? And you know, cash is also called currency because it's like a current. It needs to keep flowing. And in pandemic, what happened is a lot of people started holding money back. Now, if you start, too many people start holding money back, the circulation will not happen. When a water flow does not happen in a pipe, it starts stagnating. So for the economy to run, for your business to run, it should be both. Something should come in, something should flow out. If everybody starts holding back the money, it cannot move forward. So it needs to flow. Okay, so we're going to talk about both, how the money comes in, how the money goes out. Okay, so this is a very important diagram. And this is like a summary of the whole thing we're going to be talking about is inflow. How do you get cash in your business? You get cash in your business by putting in, when you start your own business, what do? You put your own cash. Okay, you put some of your own money, which is called your capital. Maybe you have investors who are putting money, who are funding your business. So that's how the money comes in. You do trade finance. We'll talk about it in some manner, and it comes through your customers when they buy your services. Okay, you may that's how the money will flow into your business. How does the money go out is how do you start spending it? You start spending it on the rent on your premises. You spend it on assets you may buy. So if you are a fleet company, you will buy cars. If you are a dentist, you will buy dental equipments, machinery, manufacturing company. So some of the assets, computers, even if you're a consulting organization, you would buy some assets. They may not be to that extent big manufacturing companies, but you will have laptops, you will have other assets that you would buy in your business. Your inventories, if you're stocking up stuff, if you're in retail, your stocks that you put in, your suppliers that you need to pay. They could be products that you're buying, services that you're using, and salaries that you're paying to your employees. And we will touch each of these. So let's first come in and say for the inflow of clients that come in, we'll talk about pricing, debt collection, trade finance, invoicing, and a Pareto principle, 80-20, I will talk about it. And in terms of where the money is going out, we have 6 things that we're going to discuss today. Our vendor terms, how do we negotiate with our vendors, some of the decisions we will take in our business on whether we should buy or we should rent, whether we sublet our premises if we have big premises, do we hire, do we outsource, inventory, how do we convert our current inventory to cash, and our employees, what can we do on those? Clear? We will also be sharing some other tips. Before I go and give you certain examples, I wanted to just share how small shifts make a big difference to your business. A lot of people like McDonald's, yes or no? McDonald's used to have a burger in their dollar menu called a double cheeseburger. A double cheeseburger had 2 patties and 2 slices of cheese. Okay? So McDonald's decided that what if I remove 1 slice of cheese? So they changed the name of the burger, took it out of the dollar menu, and now they had 2 patties and 1 slice of cheese. Okay? Each outlet saved $15,000 per month, and the company saved billions of dollars in the whole year. And guess what? People who wanted double cheese paid that little extra to put the double cheese, and they made even more revenue on that. The second example I give you is American Airlines. Okay? Removing 1 olive from their business class menu, 1 piece of olive. Again, it's a classic story. You can Google it. Saved billions of dollars. Okay? Small changes. Who decides these changes? Somebody who can look outside the business. So one thing I want to tell you is you don't need to be an accountant to make these changes. You don't need to look at your balance sheet and profit and loss to make these changes. But these changes will reflect in your accounting system. As you start making these changes, you will see positive results. You just need to look from the outside to your business. You don't have to prepare your own profit and loss statements. But what I'm sharing with you today are decisions that you will make as a business owner. And these shifts that I'm telling you can also be used at home, right? These small shifts can also be made in small things. So look at it at parallels of what these examples that big organizations do, you can say. Yeah. So let's move further and I'll talk about pricing. Now, pricing decision is extremely important and a lot of people feel it's very complicated. Okay. You know what? There are 17 different types of pricing strategy. When you are pricing your products, did you think of it? So there could be, I'm not going to get into all the pricing strategies, but I just want you to think that small changes even on your pricing can make a huge difference, right? So was your pricing randomly discussed, or you said, okay, this is the cost to my product, I'm going to add 20% to it, and now I'm going to sell as a cost plus pricing? Have I decided that my competition is taking so much, so I will price it a little less than my competition so that I can take a share? So are you doing cost plus pricing? Are you doing penetration pricing? Are you doing leadership pricing? But yours is a unique product and you're pricing very high. Are you doing value pricing? So what your pricing will do will shift volumes for your business. And there is a sign, slight shifts in your pricing can also make a difference. You've already priced your products. Can you go and change overnight? Maybe if you just do a 10% increase in your pricing, it may not affect the customer too much, but you will see a difference in your bottom line. In the pandemic, if you were to increase prices, people may not buy. Can you bundle your products together and create bundle pricing? saying if you take this and you take this. And you've seen McDonald's do it, right? Adding one dirham extra, $1 extra to upsize. So, can you do something like this to upsell, up price, bundle it? So there are small things that one can do in your pricing. But what I want to ask you is, have you thought through your pricing strategy? Or have you randomly priced your product? Slight shifts today in your pricing, and you can do the math and the calculation, can make a huge difference. If you know my goals are so much and I'm not meeting it, maybe you cannot do it with your existing clients. Can you do it for the new clients you bring in? Don't change the pricing for your existing clients. Can you just do a 10% increase in your pricing for the new customers that you bring in? Can you make packages of your pricing? And normally when people do packaging of their pricing, they do 3 models: a low, a medium, and a high pricing model. And when they do it, they know that most of the people will not take the smaller model. It's the middle model which most of the people want to sell. And if people want to take an upgraded model, all the more better. But you're giving them a limited choice. But you know which direction you want your customers to take. So designing your pricing is very important, right? See what minor shifts again in your pricing can make a difference into your bottom line. So look at that. Yeah, pricing is one of the strategies. Second strategy that I was talking about, trade finance. Don't think it's a big word. Trade finance means that banks, financial associations help you get money in your business today. So I'm talking about 2 things. For bigger organizations, it's called bill discounting. Bill discounting means, and there are other words for it, some people would call it factoring, which means that you have a big project. Say you have a project from a big multinational organization, and you have a plan that they will pay you in 90 days, right? But you have the invoice, you know that there is a 90-day credit period, but you want that money today. So the financial institutions will take your bill, which is your invoice, and discount it, which means they will give you a money today at a certain cost. Okay, and the cost changes from association to association, and they will collect it from the client after 90 days. Good. So you would have got it after 90 days, but you can get it today if you need cash. So in business to business transactions, now that depends on a lot of factors as to who your client is, what is their trust factor, but a lot of financial institutions are doing this today. And this is in the pandemic, a lot of people, when they had projects and it got stuck, a lot of people reverted to this. So they do their checks and balances, but this is easy for them to give because there's a collateral where you have the invoice where you know you'll get paid. Yeah. The second thing for smaller organizations, I would say that maybe you don't have 2 big bills, or those many bills would not help you in bill discounting, and you don't want to take that commission. The second thing is review your banking products. Because you know what charges you're paying your bank, your competition bank would be giving at less charges. If they're charging a minimum balance and they're charging you big fees, the other bank may not have it. So what are you saving by reviewing your banking products, which could be your business bank accounts, which could be your credit card fees, which could be a lot of other banking fees, charges that you're paying, you can reduce it. Yeah, you can reduce those amounts that you're paying. Maybe you're not taking that into consideration, but let me tell you, every penny saved is a penny earned. And don't discount even if it is $1, 1 dirham, 1 rupee, or whatever. Every little bit counts. That's on trade finance. The third most important thing that we will talk about is debt collection. A lot of people even fear and asking for their own money. In the pandemic, a lot of people said this. It seems like I'm begging for my own money. It's due to me, but I have to beg. Okay. What I would say is that be very firm about chasing. It's your money. You deserve to get it back. Don't be shy about it. Don't be aggressive. Be assertive, but don't be shy in asking for your own money. You cannot, the money is in the follow-up, guys. Remember, money is in the follow-up, which means don't stop following up. How many methods are you using to follow up on your money? How many? So you will send an email saying this is a reminder for you to pay me your money. Have you tried calling the person? If you're calling the accountant in the firm, have you started calling to his senior? After that, have you started calling his boss? If not, we've created a WhatsApp group with the owner, and if you start following up 2-3 times, they will give you. Remember this, crying baby gets milk. Yes? Yes? So nobody in the business doesn't want to be in the situation that they don't want to pay you. Naturally, it's not that. It's understand, even in the pandemic, people didn't have the funds to pay because they were waiting on funds, and which is why I call currency. If I don't have funds to pay you because I'm waiting for the funds, somebody is not paying me because they are waiting for the funds, it circulates down, correct? So if you keep pushing just to get you off the back, they'll pay you. When you're chasing for payment, have you done phone calls, emails, WhatsApp, SMSs? Use 4-5 different methods and repeat these till you get it. Okay, so if you're making a phone call and they say, listen, we don't have the money, we can't pay you, don't keep the phone down. Close the phone by asking them, so when can you pay me? Can I call you next Thursday? So I may not get the money. How much can you pay me? Right. So you're giving them a way out. Second, make it easier for them to pay you. Because a lot of people are willing to pay by credit card because they can convert it to an installment plan, but not be in a position to pay you cash. Allow them to pay you online if they don't want to give checks. Because of all the things with checks, a lot of people are hesitant about checks. Makes it easier for them to have alternate payments method, because at least you will keep getting bits and pieces. Yeah. So always end with a promise and make sure if you say Thursday, you follow up on Thursday. Correct? And then when you're sending reminders also, you can put color, second reminder, third reminder, whatever, and don't stop, because eventually you will get paid. Okay. And you are in a situation where you want money faster. Offer a discount. So say you had that 90-day period with a client and you say that, listen, I know we had a 90-day period, but if I give you 10% discount, can you pay me today? So if they have the money, they might. Okay. A lot of people who had the money have used this as a tactic to reduce what they had to pay their vendors. And I know of some of them. So somebody said that, okay, listen, I'm chasing for my payment. He's like, listen, I don't have the money to pay you. I will pay you next month. And he's like, but if you want 50% of it today, I can give you if you give me a discount of 10%. So that's like, no, I'm not giving you. But the next day he called and said, okay, give me, because he needed the money. So this guy had the full money to pay, but didn't pay and took the discount. So you don't know where you can get the money from. Losing the whole money, you might as well get something in hand. Right? So use different tactics, see and offer what works for somebody, because you would have an idea of who can pay you, who cannot, right? And so debt collection is very important. Do it assertively, not aggressively, but don't shy away from following up. It's your money, you deserve to get it. This is one very, very important thing. Okay. Now, normally people delay invoicing. You've done the deal, but you don't send the invoice. And a lot of companies will not pay you if the invoice is not sent. And the delay is because we're delaying it from our end. And I've seen this happen repeatedly from someone else. Okay. So have to invoice in, and I will go a little into depth of it right now. And once you've invoiced and you've received the checks, a lot of people don't deposit it on time. So make sure both things are being followed. Invoice promptly and deposit. And I'm giving you some psychological tips on invoicing. Yeah. So this is a company called View.com. They analyzed 250,000 invoices and they came up with some small things. Putting a logo on the invoice gives you 3 times your payment. You get paid faster 3 times. Okay, more likely to get paid. Specifying the due date, due by on your invoice. How many of you put the due by date? Gets you 8 times more likely to get paid. Invoicing terms, putting them down, that these are the terms that I have: 60-day, 90-day, 30-day. I'm not giving a credit period. I want 100% in advance. And you know what? We did that. So with some of our clients, when the recession hit in 2008, we are an accounting firm, so we have retainers with our clients. So we would take retainers at the end of the month. Okay. So when this started happening, we started for asking for advance in the month for the advance months. And they would say, no, we don't give you PDCs for 12 months. So we started asking for PDCs. Okay, saying give us the PDC. So what we said is, okay, you want the rack rate, this is the rack rate. If you want PDCs, 10% discount. If you want to pay me full year in advance, X% discount. So the clients who could afford it started. We couldn't change to our existing clients. We started with our new clients. Today, we don't work with anybody without advance payment because that's how your business structure is done. And people will accept. So depending upon their cash flow situation, they will do monthly in advance. They will give you in advance. You don't want all the customers to pay you in advance as well because there's a certain discount that you're giving them. So when your business needs cash flow, offer the discount. When your business doesn't need the cash flow, don't offer the discount. So you can switch off and switch on what you're offering to the client at different stages of your business needs. One more important thing is if you write please and thank you in your emails to the invoices and put a smiley, you tend to get paid faster. Yeah. So there are small things. Another thing is a lot of people don't do physical paper invoices anymore. But a lot of time they have said psychologically, if you print your invoice on a yellow paper, psychologically, it is much easier for people to pay you. Also, when there are big organizations that have a pile of invoices, put all on white paper, and you say that 11 yellow paper invoice is my invoice in your list, they can pull it out. Okay. Putting color coding on your reminders and putting a red or putting things in bold, small things in how you frame your email and write it help you get paid faster. So these are psychological tips and use them with smileys. And second, on your invoicing, what is very important is ask the person what all do they need on the invoice. If they say, oh, my customer ID is not mentioned, this is not mentioned, my spelling is wrong, my company name is spelled wrong, my name is spelled wrong, the product quantity. So make sure you're checking it because all these cause delays in the invoice. So making sure you ask them what will make it easier for them to look at it when they pay you the invoice, what is important to them, included in the invoice so that you get paid faster. The other thing we'll talk about is Pareto's principle. Pareto's principle is nothing which tells you everything in life is 80-20. Okay? 80% of your revenue actually comes from only 20% of your customers. 80% of your collections would also be coming from those 20% of customers. So you don't have to focus on small things. Look at where your bulk is stuck and address them. So if your 20% clients generate the profit, the same thing applies to everything in life, the 80-20 principle. So make sure that you're focusing on those clients. And if they are repeatedly the same clients, then you need to take a call on what you want to do. And you need to flip it. Okay, it's all about percentages. So remember that and focus on those few clients, even in terms of revenue. So if you know 80% of your profits are coming from 20% of your clients, 80% of your revenue is coming from 20% of clients, do things that is right so that you can retain them. And same thing with the collections. If the same customers are repeatedly, start chasing them in advance. Start seeing what works with them. Yeah. So now we've completed from the inflow of cash. Now we are talking about, so in cash flow, you say the money comes in and the money goes out. It's easy to say that bring the money faster and delay the payments later, right? That allows you to keep cash with you for the longest period of time. So what I told you for inflow, we will probably flip it for outflow. Okay. A lot of people like to pay on time, but vendor terms, you have to negotiate. You have to negotiate pricing with them, bring it down to as much as you can. You have to negotiate terms to take it as long, 30. So if I would tell you give discounts for 30 days instead of 90 days, here you have to go and start asking for 90 days instead of 30 days. Right. So it just allows you that flexibility of keeping that money with you for a long time, if that's what you need for your business. Now, a lot of people don't negotiate. Okay. Again, the word fear comes in. People don't negotiate because there's some kind of resistance inside. So one thing, and if they negotiate out of fear. So it's always important that never fear to negotiate. but don't negotiate out of fear, because your energies will reflect. You know, if you're confident about asking a discount, you will get the discount. If you say, can you give me a discount? Will you get it? So it's how you ask that is important, is how you communicate that with confidence and saying, listen, this is what's the standard, this is what I get, this is what I want. Not saying I demand, but saying it in that manner, if that flexibility is coming, and allow that mid-range to come in where both of you feel win-win. It's important. Everybody keeps a little margin for negotiation. You don't give your bottom rate at any point of time. So you'll keep a little margin. And if somebody will say, listen, I cannot go beyond this, respect it. Because they will do their best. So understand that and allow the other party to win, and you also win. Always allow that. Yeah, that'll help in relationships, but negotiate. Even negotiating delayed timing. So if there are times, and in pandemic, there are times that we cannot pay on time, or we've not been able to pay on time. Don't just ignore it. Okay, call them in advance and say, we are currently having challenges. Would you be able to give me more time? Do you think they'll say no? Because not many people go and ask that. Because what you're doing with that is giving them confidence that you have the intention to pay. And that is more important, because you're not going to run away. You're not going to, so they have that confidence and they will give you that kind of time. And make sure, even if you can't make that full payment by that time, make a part payment. And value that understanding and reciprocate if it's needed elsewhere. And that will help to a long-term relationship, And remember that it is, so again, this is a sales statistics that I'm sharing. It is 5 times more expensive to get a new client rather than retaining one. So understand that. Don't let go of people just because of small differences. So it's better to retain the clients, retain your vendors, than just losing them, because it would take, it's difficult. So try and maintain that relationship while you're trying to get more cash. A lot of decisions come on lease versus buy. So do I buy it or do I rent it? So, like it could be for apartments, it could be for a lot of things, but it could specifically be for machineries. Okay. So there are a lot of times banks and financial institutions don't give you loan when you're starting off. Okay, banks, when it's raining, will not give you loan. Once you have an umbrella, will they give you? Once they know you're doing a little better, then they have the confidence. But that's not when you need the money. You need the money when you need to start your business. So at that point of time, you have to decide whether you want to. So you will not get money for random things, but you will get money for your assets. So if you're buying the car, you'll get a car loan. You'll buy a machinery, you'll get an asset loan. So see where you can get those terms, and you can rent it till you can afford to buy it. So, when the dentists are having the equipment, when the salon is starting and they need the equipment. So you have to decide. Both have its advantages. I'm not saying you have to lease and you don't have to buy. Both have its advantages, but you have to understand your cash flow situation, where you need more cash at what aspect of your business, and then take the decision. Okay. It is more than just a numbers decision. Okay. It's you have to have its long-term impact before it, but it's a great decision to do, so that, you can start renting today rather than buying. Okay. The other thing is sublet. So people have big offices. Okay. And you don't need that kind of space. And there are other people who can rent it out, because you don't have to rent out another place. Now you'll talk about the legality of it. So if you have the same sponsor, on your trade license, you can sublet it. It is legal. Okay. So also in sublet and the rent that I was buying in sublet, a lot of people also in dentistry or in medical clinics, you have seen that other doctors come, correct? So it's called rent a chair. A rent a chair means that while I'm a dentist and I'm an expert at this, some other doctor who's an expert will visit me once a week. So what happens is you're renting your space to them, you're renting a chair to them, and they're invoicing you through your business as a consultant. They're invoicing you through your business, and you take a percentage of the invoice. The same thing happens in a salon. So the salon is a salon that has, manicure, pedicure, but you have a hair specialist who doesn't want to open her own salon, who comes to your salon and starts cutting hair on your salon's name. So you're giving her a rent a chair where she comes in twice a week or stays there every day, but she takes a percentage of the invoice, and you get a percentage of the invoice. So there are a lot of ways, different ways that you've seen this happen, and especially these are the clinics and salons where you see this happening. Yeah, so a lot of freelancers, they work together under one license. So what a lot of even marketing people, they all work independently, but they have one license. So you have a photographer, you have a videographer, they all come under one license and share the costs under one company. Okay, so this is not just premise, but a lot of them would also rent the premise so that they can share the costs. So if it's a studio cost, not everybody can afford a studio, right? So there are these things that are currently happening. So you can also think that maybe you are not thinking of subletting it, but if you have the same sponsor, you can speak to your sponsor and say that if anybody else wants, they can rent my office. And especially in the pandemic, we've seen a lot of people do this, merged offices or things like that. This one is one of my favorites. Okay, do what you do best and outsource the rest. Now, I'm not telling you today, the decision is not whether you need to outsource. The decision is what you need to outsource. So you have to look at your strengths. What do you enjoy doing? And what you don't enjoy doing. So make a not to do list. We all do to do lists, right? Make a not to do list that takes up your energy, that takes up more time than somebody else would take. And start outsourcing it. And when I say outsource, it could be within the country, it could be outside the country. And pandemic has seen a lot of people hire resources outside the country. Okay, so we've seen people hiring virtual assistants from the Philippines, people hiring SEO from India, people hiring so videographers. What they do is they take the video shoots and they get it edited in Pakistan or Turkey or wherever. We've seen even bigger organizations, call centers in Egypt. Right, so a lot of Etisalat calls, you've seen people sitting in Egypt answering the calls who don't know certain locations, and it's outsourced. So you've seen bigger organizations also outsource. A lot of manpower planning companies give these people. So what you need to outsource is very important. I was reading a book last month that I highly recommend everybody. Is a book called Who, Not How. So when you have a book, big goal, you say, oh, how do I reach it? The question is, who will help me reach it? So again, what is it that I need to outsource? That person delegate, outsource, which is where you will save money. The cost of outsourcing to India or the Philippines would be half or 1/3. Same thing with Egypt of what you would get here. No visa costs, no stuff. So you need people here. I'm not saying you don't need people here. So you have to decide. In location, outside location, you don't need people full day. You need people for 20 hours a week, or you need people only. And there's a new word now called gig economy, where you just hire people for a project. Okay, that's the buzzword today. People are talking about Upwork, freelancer, whatever, called gig economy, where you outsource bits of projects. So it's important to look at where you're spending your money and take a call. Okay, again, your inventory. So a lot of people, like I work very closely with restaurants. A lot of people stock a lot of things. Okay, it's actually cash. So there was a bookstore that had a lot of books, and overnight they needed the cash. They sold the books at a discount. So even if it's not like they made loss, but they actually got the cash, right? Which was stocked. Stocking takes warehouse costs. It takes money. Okay, to store all of that. In restaurants, it could also go waste because if it's a perishable product. So if you sell the stock, which is lasting for very long, you've seen a lot of clearance sales happening, right? Why is that? Because they're converting inventory to cash. Yeah, we've seen it in Amazon happening. We've seen it in a lot of places, furniture shops. They're all the time on sale, right? It's because they have stock. They cannot get new stuff if they don't remove the old stuff from their warehouses, because that means they will have to spend money to put more stuff in their warehouses. So if you have stock currently, and also it's not just selling it into cash, but manage your stock. Okay, it was slightly different in the pandemic because there were no flights. Not having stock put people in a situation. So understanding where your vendors are coming. Over dependence on one vendor is also not important. So you have to make sure that you're not depending on one single vendor. If that vendor closes shop, it affects your business. So how do you manage your stock? Where is your stock coming from? Locally, internationally? So the pandemic hit international stuff, but otherwise, what's the time gap between when you will order and when you will get? So understanding that and managing it is important. Last is the employees. Now, a lot of people didn't think before hiring. They kept on hiring, and you've seen a firing spree happening. Reduction of salaries happening during the pandemic. Why? Okay, because you have to understand that your staff are your assets. And I will always say, prioritize payroll. Okay, so while I'm asking you to make sure that you're keeping more money, but losing clients because of this will not help you. So where you need to spend is important. And make sure that you prioritize payroll. But also the win-win situation is a lot of businesses started hiring interns. Because with interns, you don't have to pay as much as permanent employees. And if they are good, you can hire them permanently. So it gives you that testing time. Okay, so interns, sometimes you don't pay, sometimes you pay low, but hiring interns is a win for them. They get to check you out, you get to check them out, and you're not paying that kind of salaries. Yeah. So these are the small tips that will help you. To the next thing. So one other example, like I shared the McDonald's example, I would talk about Southwest Airlines. In the airline industry, most of the airlines were making losses. Okay, Southwest Airlines is a no-frill airline. Okay, their winning strategy was they only had one kind of aircraft, right? Their motto was wheels up, which means I make money as long as I am flying in the sky. Because they only had one kind of aircraft, if one aircraft had a problem, they could send another aircraft. All the parts of the aircraft were not different, right? So they could manage all of that. And the idea was wheels up. So they made sure while they were doing that, the efficiencies, they would not stay in that, on the ground for very long. So their winning strategy was one kind of aircraft, similar spare parts, similar. So even the captain and the pilot would be able to handle everything. Yeah, it's not that an A380 pilot will not be able to fly a Boeing, and things. A Boeing pilot cannot fly an A380. So again, in terms of rotating people, rotating stuff, they always made money. Which is why how simple are you keeping your business model is important. A lot of people in pandemic also started talking about barter. Listen, I don't have cash, can we barter? But you know what? There are do's and don'ts to a barter. Just doing random barter will also lead to difficulties in relationships. So in barter relationships, make sure you put a value to your product, they put a value to their product. If both are discounting, both discount. If both are not discounting, both give rack rates. Okay, so there has to be that understanding, that trust for long-term barters to continue. They can be an asset to your business, especially at times, in difficult times. But you have to make sure that, if it goes sour, you'll stop believing in this process. There were barter organizations that allowed this to happen, that if I don't need your product and you don't need my product, I can barter your product, but that person can go and barter somebody else's product. And those organizations tried to make money out of this, but they no longer exist in UAE right now. Yeah. So in individual barters, I just want to say, because this has happened a lot, to be careful about how you do it. It works if done right, but it could lead to other things. So that's that. So, Another thing which everybody talks about is fast cash. I want cash now. I want cash today. And I should borrow. People borrow on credit cards and other things. One note is, if you have a long-term liability, take a long-term loan. Don't take a long-term loan to fund short-term liabilities, right? So if you want money for short 3 months, you can take a credit card to just handle it for now. So you know what, the credit card interests, and I've been in credit cards, so I know the credit card interests are very, very, very high. And you have to be very careful before you take these interest rates to fund your business. So if you're taking loans or you're taking money, important is that you know when you can pay it off and that you can pay it off, because otherwise you can get into a vicious cycle. And that's something none of us would want to get into. Okay, so maintaining cash flow is a matter of timing. Managing cash flow is a matter of planning. We all came into a situation in the pandemic where the timing became important. Now that we're getting out of it, planning becomes very important. There are so many savings we did, right? We stopped doing so many things in the pandemic. Yes?
Mm.
Yes. Yeah?
Yeah.
So now I want to ask you, how many of those things pre-pandemic days will you go back and spend on? So before you open your wallet to spend on things, think twice. Okay? Remember, if during the pandemic people had 5 months, 6 months of reserve, some people had none. Some people could manage without it because all of a sudden the business got affected. So everything is important where you decide. Business models were shifted on that. So do you want to save money today, at the end of the day today? One suggestion is, whether you are a business owner or whatever, my first suggestion is look at all the subscriptions you have. And cancel what you're not using. Okay, your auto renewals. So what I did is I had some auto renewals on my PayPal account, and I went to my PayPal and I removed my credit card. Okay, so none of those payments could go through. And then what I missed, I put it back, and the others I deleted. And I realized that I was paying for a time tracking software, which I had shifted into another model and were running two parallelly for some moments. And that was $70 a month. And I was telling you, a penny earned, a penny saved is a penny earned. Every single dollar. End of day today, you can save $10 or $100. You will definitely have 1 or 2 subscriptions that you don't need. A renewal that is automatically being renewed, you don't need. So go back and check your credit card statements and see what is it that you don't need that you can put a stop to today. And I'm sure do it every 3 months, every 6 months, because something or the other. You take a trial period on an app on your phone and you've forgotten that the 30 days are up or the 15 days are up and the trial period is up and you're charged. So look at the subscriptions today. You will definitely find something that you can save every day. Look at how you can save $5 every day, $1 every day. Okay. So while we were talking about cash, I also want to talk about profit. As I told you, I was profit first person, right? Yeah. One tip I will give you when I'm asking you about saving, one tip that I will give you is, if you want to make profits wherever you are in the business, you can either be in 3 stages. Your expenses are higher than your income. In traffic lights, you're in the red. Your income and expenses keep fluctuating like a roller coaster. Some days you're up, some days you're down, but overall you manage to sail through. The third is where your income is always higher than your expenses. So you're in the green, but you would always want to be in a higher green. Wherever you are, start putting 1% of whatever revenue you're making to a different bank account. Mm-hmm. If you're making $100, you will not miss the $1 you put aside. If you're making $1,000, you will not miss the $10 you'll put aside. If you're making $10,000, you will not miss the $100 you'll put aside. So that is how it is. And move that to 2%, 3%, 4%, 5% as you can go along and make more. And that you can then see and how you can invest that to make more money for you. But at the moment, starting small is extremely important. So we started by saying cash is king. So we will end by also saying cash is king. So what does king mean? Knowledge of where you are today. Be clear. Move from fear to faith in your finances. Look at your numbers. Move from no numbers to I know my numbers and get a knowledge of where you are today. Then you inspect on your cash flow system or reverse the word expenses to investment. Okay? For any cost cutting you're doing, ask yourself 3 questions. Is this expense, or is this an expense or an investment? Is this contributing to my profit today? If it's not contributing to my profit, is it contributing to my customer journey today? Not necessarily everything will come. A marketing is an investment, not an expense. It helps you in your customer journey. So if it's not, if your answer to both of them is yes, you'll keep it. If your answer to both of them is no, you will ask yourself the question, can this be eliminated completely? If yes, you'll eliminate it. A lot of people moved from bigger offices to business centers because you didn't need big offices because people were working remotely. So, and the third question you'll ask is, if it cannot be eliminated completely, can I replace it with a low cost option, which is what I was sharing about the business center. There could be certain expenses which you'll remove completely, like some of the subscriptions I spoke about and others. Maybe you had extra people and you now need to reduce staff, whatever. But those decisions also have to be thought through in the long term, not just made in the short term. The N stands for navigate. Understand what your future needs are. So don't make short-term decisions based on long-term goals. And the last one is G, which is growth. Build foundation of bankability to create higher value. So that's it from me, guys. Any questions? I'm open to answering any questions that you will have.
Thank you so much, Simran. I have a question with costing, by the way.
Yeah.
How much markup to put to make a profit?
So that would depend on a lot of things. Okay, you could, so what you're choosing is cost plus pricing. You could be choosing a value pricing where it doesn't have to have anything to do with the cost, because your product is so valuable that people would pay much more for it, right? So if it's a big brand, people would not price it on the cost of the product. It's a value to the customer.
I think it's hard. It's hard if you have a service rather than the product. Product is
yes. So in terms of your service, you'll have to look at your target market and your audience, right? So what is it that your audience, so it's a you'll have to experiment it also, Kadela, right? You'll have to experiment it with a certain type of customer. So based on your target market, you'll know what they can afford. And based on their affordability, you will put margin. So there are people who put 50% margin. There are people who put 100% margin. There are people who put 20% margin, but had they put a 50% margin, they would have made that money as well. So you'll have to keep trying and find that sweet spot that is right for your product and your service. It's not one size fits all. So it has to be with experimentation. And you'll know that if you're putting X margin and on your proposals, you're getting, people are not taking it up. I would also say constantly take feedback from the client. Saying, thank you, for your response for not taking. Can you let me know why? And they'll say, someone else charged me less. Okay. But what you also remember is people are not always comparing apple to apple.
Yeah.
You may be offering other things which the competitor is not offering, but you may be offering things which the client doesn't value. Yeah. So it also depends upon who you're marketing to, who you're targeting to, what they can afford, and what the perceived value of your product is, or services in this case.
Yeah. Thank you.
But the margins will also depend upon what profit you want for your business. Yeah. So like I said, your profit goals will have to determine your revenue goals. Your pricing will also depend on what percentage of profitability you want in your business. Are you selling by volume or you're selling to fewer clients? Yeah.
We're actually lucky now in UAE. We can do different things. It's now flexible, like as what
Yes.
you said, you can sublet premises, you can hire freelancers and interns.
Yeah.
So is there any question from the audience, please?
Yeah, I have a question, Cardella, Simran. Thank you so much. I learned so much from you, listening to every point
Thank
that
you.
you've raised. It's really wonderful. I'm really. I will suggest that other entrepreneurs like me should watch the recording, because it's very helpful. Like I mean, there are some things you miss when you're actually um, running a business, and these small points, like what you've raised about subscriptions, all this, the debt collection, and how you communicate this, in order for your invoice to be paid and at a certain period. And all these things, really, entrepreneurs should, at the end of the day, it's how you deliver. It's how you convey the message that you'd want the other party to do. My question is kind of related to this. Like, I just want to I want to take your point of view in relation to creating more than 2 or 3 income streams.
Yes.
I want to get your opinion, whether do you necessarily agree on the idea that if there's excessive cash flow, do you agree that we should reinvest again in other income streams? And the more the merrier, that's what you're trying to say, especially with this pandemic, and everything, that you have to think of more ways to create income. So I want your view on that.
Thank you for that question, Rohina. I did include it in my presentation today, but it's something that's very, very close to my heart.
Thank you.
I was talking more about cash flow today, and the build to sell model, which I told you I'm part of it, highly recommends recurring revenue incomes. It's what you talk about, multiple streams of income. I would talk about both. Number one is having multiple streams of income, and it could be part in the same business that you hold. If you're having one stream, you can have 2 or 3 different streams of income. There are 6 different types of income from the same business that you can take. And also recurring revenues. The more you get into subscription models, the more you get the client into contracts, the more you get client into retainer kind of business, you're making your income more predictable rather than one-off where you're going and selling again and again. So sometimes having a subscription of Netflix, example, you're paying whatever, $10 a month, you will not think twice. So when I tell you to cut off expenses, people don't think because you're paying $5, $10. I'm not saying go cut Netflix, but I'm just saying that, that kind of a model for your business, if you can have that as a subscription model in the long run. So John Varelo, who wrote the book Build to Sell, realized that it was such a big thing to increase the value of your business even in the future if you have multiple streams. Is also, he wrote another book called The Automatic Customer, which only talks about this. There are other books also that talk about it. So I highly recommend. So like if you look at an espresso machine, the machine doesn't cost much, but you have to keep going and getting the capsules that gives the business money. Same thing with printer cartridges. So what can you do in your business model that will convert it into a subscription model, an economy model, and people will pay you small money, but more people will come and pay you small money. So yeah, I will. And what you were also asking, and correct me if my question or my understanding was wrong, is multiple streams of revenue, which could be to different businesses,
Yes.
right? Because you use the word reinvest. Okay, so not putting all your eggs in one basket in one nature of your business. It depends on how set you are in the business. Are you running too thin in terms of your time and energy? My suggestion to increase the value of your business is always work on your business and not in your business. When you're working on your business, you are not when you're working in your business, you're a CEO operator, where you're not just the CEO, you're also working as an employee in your own business, which means your time, your energy is going in that. If you are a CEO owner, you own the business, but you have a team running it for you. You have systems running it for you, and all you're looking at is reports to direct the business. You're giving it the vision. Okay, so if you're at the CEO owner stage, you can invest in another business. If you are in the CEO, somewhere in between these two, you can look at multiple streams in the same business. I will recommend both: multiple streams of revenue, recurring revenue, investing in multiple businesses so that your eggs are in different baskets. So a lot of travel agents had to shut their businesses or had to go through stuff. A lot of them have opened second businesses. They could be related, that feed into each other. So yes, my answer would be yes to both. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Most welcome.
Can I ask a question, if that's okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anita.
I am so sorry I missed the initial part of it. First of all, I want to know, Khadila, is this recording available anywhere that I
Yes,
can actually
it is
watch?
recording, yeah.
Okay, fantastic, because this is something I really, really missed. When you're saying, Ravina asked a brilliant question about passive income.
Yeah.
Is there any other passive income apart from just businesses? Is there anything else which you can recommend, which is viable that we can actually think of other than just businesses?
Yeah, so that's what, when I was talking about profit first, and I was telling about profit besides 5%, 10%, aside, the money that you're taking out of your business into profit, you're talking about passive income and reinvestment, what Ravina was talking about earlier. These could be invested either in other businesses. These could be reinvested in other investment. So I'm not an investment advisor. I would definitely recommend you to consult investment advisors, but this could be and should be invested in other stuff that could make your money work for you, rather than you working for your money. I'm a strong believer of passive income as well. And based on your risk appetite, different people have different risk appetite. So whether you will put it in mutual funds, you will put it in fixed deposits, you speak to an investment advisor, invest in real estate, or currently people are investing in other Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, NFTs, etc. So whatever is your risk appetite, your choice, I would highly recommend some kind of investments to happen with your profit amounts, so that you can also not only if your money is just lying in the bank, it's actually reducing in value. So to make sure that you're making it count, you have to reinvest in something which is different for different people.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I guess there's no more question, but yes, Simran, thank you so much for tonight.
Most welcome,
And,
Khadila. Thank you for the opportunity.